Loop TT, and we're here with Mr. George Singh, the head of Soca, which brings to you Chutney Soca Monarch every year. We're actually here on the stage itself at Skinner Park. Mr. Singh is actually in a lot of preparation for the big night on Saturday. How are you doing?
I'm good. We just finished our technical meeting on stage with all the people that are involved in our technical aspects, sound, stage, lighting. So it's exciting times. We're getting ready for Saturday. It's our big night. It's the 20th anniversary of Chutney Soca Monarch, and we're just really excited.
How do you feel about reaching this milestone?
Well, for me, I feel really proud. I think Saturday night is going to be a very, to a certain extent, emotional night for me. Our theme on the way up to the finals was the road to CSM 2015, and what we've been trying to show people is where we've come from and where we are today, and when you look at 1996 and the stage, it was a really small stage, not like this with all of this kind of tra-la-la on it, it was a very simple stage. It was on barrels. It was 220 by 2010s. It was here in Skinner Park. From those days to where we are now, the show has really grown phenomenally. And on Saturday 31st, what people will be seeing is a production that costs over $12 million. I think people are going to be absolutely blown away by this show on Saturday night.
Let's go back in time for a couple of minutes. Can you tell me what is your most memorable feature aspect of the Monarch over the last 20 years, as well as the most memorable performance?
There have been so many performances that I think were memorable. I think Ricky Jai stands out. He has been a 6-time winner, and usually when you look at Ricky Jai's performance, he always steps up the game. His productions are really phenomenal. Ravi B coming into the competition has had some really magnificent productions. KI being last year's winner, and as a matter of fact, KI is here with a team that is flown into Trinidad for the show on Saturday, and these guys have just stepped up the game. So I think all in all, when you look at the show overall over the years and the way it has developed and grown, I feel good about that. And I don't want to pinpoint any particular performance, but I think, hats off to the artists for really stepping the game up.
Have you ever felt like just throwing it in and just quitting at any point in time?
Many times, actually. Many times I've felt, this is it, I can't do this anymore, because the show has just gone. It's become so expensive, and I always use International Soca Monarch as another example, because I think that they face the same challenges that we face. We've grown together. Both shows have gotten really, really large. They're now very expensive. We're very dependent on sponsors, right, and government to support the show. And a lot of people feel, well, you all are private entrepreneurs. Why is government supporting the show? But without government supporting the show, we can't do it. It's absolutely impossible. We can't depend on the gates. The show, as I said, is costing over $12 million. You can't collect that by a gate. And I must thank, in particular, the government of Trinidad and Tobago and our current Prime Minister, who really stepped it up when she introduced that $2 million prize. That was a big thing for us, because all along we were fighting with Chutney Soca in particular to bring the prices up to a certain level. And today I think we've leveled that playing field, and the show has really stepped up, and government support now is really key to the survival of these shows.
Every so often, there's a bit of a rule change for the Monarch, including, for example, keeping rum out of lyrics of songs, as well as, the reference to sampling of traditional Indian music. Do you think rules like that actually help to up the game of artists in terms of originality and creativity?
Well, definitely, it ups the game in terms of creativity. The rule change that we had done with the Bollywood melodies in particular was about 5 years ago. I think it was 2011 that we started it. This year, we have an 80-20 where you're allowed to sample up to 20% of the song, but 80% of it must be original. I think people need to be a little more creative. With regards to the alcohol lyrics, we ask artists to stay away from using alcohol lyrics. And I must say that it has worked. This year in the semi-finals, we did not have one song that was glorifying alcohol out of 40 contestants, which I think was a real achievement. Chutney and Chutney Soca has always had a stigma where they say it's rum songs and all that kind of thing. That's not happening anymore. It's not in Chutney, so it's not there. Also this year, Southex, the company that produces Chutney Soca Monarch, also endorsed the I Road Safe campaign that is being done by Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and we are part of that. This year their theme is actually wrong mix, alcohol and lyrics. and asking artists to stay away from singing about alcohol. So we endorsed it fully this year, and it was great because we didn't have one song that was dealing with the glorification of alcohol.
There's an introduction of a traditional aspect of or traditional songs. I don't know if you can clear that up for me for this year.
Right. Now, for some years now, people have been saying, that Chutney Soca has been going away from the traditional elements of Indian culture. In 1996, when Chutney Soca Monarch started, artists were singing two songs. One song was always was more on the soca side, leaning to the soca side with that Indian element in it, right? And one song was always mostly Hindi lyrics, And then after a few years, we did away with that. We introduced a groovy soca monarch, a groovy chutney monarch, sorry.
Really?
Yeah, and that only happened 1 year. And then we took that out and we went to a one-song show because people felt that the show was too long, right? So we took it down to one song, and that's what we've been doing. But reintroducing the traditional element doesn't make the show any longer. What we did is we took the same 20 contestants, and we're doing 10 in a Chutney Soca category and 10 in a traditional category. It's brought back a lot of the veterans. So you have people back like Rasika Dindyal, Rakesh Yankaran that haven't been in the competition for a number of years. Rupal Gadari, who was a 5-time winner, came back into the competition because of the reintroduction of that traditional element. So you find that it has brought a lot of people back, and I think it'll bring the older people back too, who may have stopped coming to Chutney Soca Monarch because they thought it was going too young. Yeah, too young, the jump and wave kind of thing. Too much of that. So this year I think the show is really nicely positioned, nicely packaged, and I think people are really going to be surprised at the quality of songs, the quality of the performances, and the level of the overall production of the show.
Would you ever go back to Port of Spain?
Port of Spain for me was an experiment. When I did it, I told people that we needed to do it for 3 years. And I still believe that if we stayed in Port of Spain for those 3 years, that Chutney Soca Monarch could have definitely established itself in Port of Spain, because it is a national event. It is one of the top 4 events on the National Carnival calendar. It is very important to artists. But I don't think I'll ever go back to Port of Spain. We're in South, we're here, Skinner Park is our home. We're happy. The infrastructure at Skinner Park is sufficient to handle what we need. So, I think we're here in South forever and ever, next 100 years.
Luke will definitely be at the Chutney Soca Monarch finals, and best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.